Life is not always easy. Sometimes things get tough, and it feels like everything is working against you. Problems pile up, stress takes over, and no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to go your way. But here's the truth. Challenges are a part of life. No one escapes them. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is how they handle those difficult moments. You see, most people let hard times break them. They get stuck in frustration, fear, and doubt. They complain, blame others, and wait for things to change. But that mindset only makes things worse. If you want to move forward, you have to take control. You have to decide that no matter what happens, you will not let your circumstances define you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to handle difficult situations. Not just survive them, but come out stronger, wiser, and more focused than ever before. You will learn how to stop waiting for things to get easier, and instead develop the mindset, habits, and actions that will push you through any obstacle. By the end of this, you will no longer feel powerless in the face of challenges. You will feel unstoppable. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're ready to take control of your life, no matter what is happening around you, then keep watching. Because what you're about to learn could change everything. Number 1, acknowledge the difficulty. You know, life can sometimes feel like it's throwing challenges at us from every direction. It might be personal struggles, work pressure, or things we just didn't see coming. The one thing we can all agree on is that no matter how hard we try, difficulties will show up. But here's the thing. There's something powerful that happens when you face a difficulty directly. It's like an immediate shift. Once you accept it, you've already started to take control. Too often people try to hide from their problems. They pretend they don't exist, or they push them to the back of their mind, hoping they'll just vanish. But here's the cold truth. Problems don't go away. They only get bigger when you ignore them. Think about that moment when something's going wrong, and you know it, but you tell yourself, it's fine, I'll deal with it later. What ends up happening is that later turns into weeks, months, even years. The longer you wait, the bigger the problem becomes. Acknowledging a difficulty is the first, crucial step in taking control of it. When you face it head on, you instantly disempower it. You stop pretending it's not there. And the power you get by just admitting the truth to yourself is huge. Once you admit to yourself that you're dealing with something difficult, you can begin to make the decisions that will get you through it. Think about a time when you faced something hard and you didn't want to deal with it. Maybe it was a difficult conversation you didn't want to have, or maybe it was a situation you knew would be uncomfortable. It's easy to look away, to avoid it, to push it under the rug, but that avoidance doesn't solve anything. It only makes things worse. Acknowledging the problem isn't just about recognizing it. It's about empowering yourself to take action. You have to be real with yourself. You have to say, yes, this is uncomfortable. Yes, I don't like it, but it's here, and I'm going to handle it. That honesty with yourself is the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. It gives you the clarity to figure out what comes next. Life will test you. It always does. There's no escaping that. But the question is, how will you respond? Will you let life's difficulties define you? Or will you step up, face them, and show what you're made of? Because the moment you face it and say, this is tough, but I'm tougher, that's when you start to take control. Acknowledging the difficulty doesn't mean you accept defeat. Far from it. What it means is that you're ready to do what's necessary to move through it. It's about stopping the cycle of denial and starting the cycle of action. The moment you admit something is difficult, you're already on the path to figuring out how to handle it. Let's be real here. Difficulties are part of life. We all go through them. If you haven't faced a challenge yet, just wait. It's coming. But here's the thing. How you handle those difficulties is what separates the ones who stay stuck from the ones who rise above them. So why not be the kind of person who acknowledges the difficulty and says, okay, I'm going to figure this out. That's where your power lies. The power to handle difficulty doesn't come from avoiding it or pretending it's not there. It comes from facing it with courage, knowing that you can figure out a way through it. When you accept that challenges are inevitable, it's not about being defeated by them. It's about saying, this is part of my journey, and I'm going to learn from it, grow from it, and come out stronger on the other side. This isn't just about talking yourself into handling things. It's about making a conscious decision to acknowledge what's going on, accept it, and then get to work. You don't have to have all the answers right away, but you do need to acknowledge that the difficulty exists. The minute you do that, you give yourself the permission to begin finding solutions. When you deny the difficulty, you deny yourself the opportunity to grow. Growth comes from struggle. It comes from those moments when life isn't easy, and you choose to face it instead of turning away. But you can't face it until you acknowledge it. You can't make progress until you admit that it's there, staring you in the face. Acknowledging the difficulty doesn't mean you'll have it all figured out in a second. It means you're opening the door to figuring it out. It means you're saying, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for the work it takes to get through it. And the more you do this, the more you'll find that difficulties aren't as intimidating as they once seemed. It's all about taking that first step. It's about acknowledging that the struggle is real, but so are you. And once you recognize that, once you take that first step toward acceptance, that's when the change begins. That's when you're no longer controlled by the difficulty. You're in control, ready to tackle whatever comes your way. So take a moment and think about where you are right now. Are you facing something difficult? Maybe you've been avoiding it, hoping it'll go away on its own. Let me tell you, it's not going anywhere until you face it. And when you do face it, that's when you take the power back. Stop running from it. Stop pretending it's not there. Acknowledge it. Look it in the eye and say, I see you. You're here, and I'm going to deal with you. Once you do that, you'll be amazed at the shift in energy. You'll find the strength to tackle it head on. And that strength, it comes from acknowledging that the difficulty is real, but you are too. So right now, take a deep breath. Look at whatever challenge you're facing and say, I'm ready. Because acknowledging the difficulty is the first step toward overcoming it. And when you take that step, everything changes. Number 2, change your relationship with difficulty. Life is tough, but you are tougher. That's something most people forget when they're caught up in the middle of a difficult situation. When challenges hit, most people start feeling like victims, like life is just unfair to them, like nothing ever works out in their favor. But that's not true. Life isn't picking on you. It's not singling you out. Life is simply life. It's filled with ups and downs, wins and losses, victories and struggles. And the way you see those struggles, that's what makes all the difference. Because the truth is, difficulty itself is not the real problem. The real problem is how you see it, how you respond to it, and what you decide to do about it. Think about it. 2 people can go through the same difficult situation, but one comes out stronger while the other falls apart. Why? It's not because one was luckier than the other. It's not because one had fewer problems. It's because one person changed their relationship with difficulty, while the other let the difficulty control them. And if you want to take back control of your life, if you want to stop feeling stuck, you have to change the way you look at difficulty. Instead of seeing it as a punishment, start seeing it as a challenge, an opportunity to grow, to learn, to sharpen yourself. Most people don't realize this, but difficulty is not your enemy. In fact, if you learn how to work with it instead of against it, it can become your greatest ally. Every person you admire, every successful person you look up to, every strong individual you've ever met, they didn't become that way by avoiding difficulty. They became that way because they faced it, they embraced it, and they used it to grow. The struggles you face are not meant to destroy you. They're meant to shape you into the person you need to become. But that won't happen if you keep seeing difficulty as something to run from. You have to change your mindset. You have to stop looking at challenges like they're ruining your life and start seeing them as stepping stones to something greater. If you can shift your mindset and start believing that every difficulty is a test, a chance to prove to yourself what you're made of, then nothing can break you. Because no matter what life throws your way, you'll know deep down that you have what it takes to handle it. Now I know it's easy to say, just change your mindset, but it's not always easy to do. That's why you have to train yourself every single day to look at difficulty differently. When a problem shows up, don't immediately get upset. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, how can I use this? What can I learn from this? How is this making me stronger? When you start asking these questions, you stop feeling powerless. You take back control. And the more you practice this, the stronger you get. Think about the strongest people you know, the people who have been through hell and back, but still keep going. Do you think they never faced difficulties? Of course they did. Probably more than most people. But what made them different is that they didn't let difficulty defeat them. They used it. They let it refine them, strengthen them, make them wiser. And that's exactly what you have to do. Because no matter how difficult things get, you always have a choice. You can either let it break you, or you can let it build you. And here's something you need to understand. Difficulty is a sign that you're growing. When life gets hard, it means you're being stretched, challenged, and pushed to become better. And that's a good thing, because the only way to grow is to go through resistance. Look at anything in nature. A tree doesn't grow tall without strong winds pushing against it. A muscle doesn't get stronger without resistance. And you don't become the person you're meant to be without challenges forcing you to level up. So instead of complaining about how hard life is, start seeing it for what it really is, a process of shaping you into the strongest version of yourself. The next time something difficult happens, instead of saying, "Why me?" try saying, "This is my moment. This is my test, and I'm gonna pass it." Because the way you talk to yourself matters. If you keep telling yourself that difficulty is a bad thing, that it's unfair, that it's ruining your life, then you're going to feel weak, and you're going to stay stuck. But if you start telling yourself that difficulty is making you stronger, that it's preparing you for bigger things, that you are capable of handling anything that comes your way, then you're going to move forward with power. It all starts with a decision to stop running, a decision to stop complaining, a decision to stop seeing difficulty as a curse, and start seeing it as a blessing in disguise. Because the truth is, the hardest moments of your life are also the moments that will shape you the most. And if you can learn to embrace them, to use them, to grow from them, then nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you. So from this moment forward, change your relationship with difficulty. When life gets hard, don't see it as a sign to give up. See it as a sign to push harder. When things don't go your way, don't see it as a reason to feel defeated. See it as a reason to keep going. Because the people who win in life are not the people who had it easy. They're the people who learned how to handle the hard times with strength, with courage, with resilience. You have that strength inside you. You just have to start using it. So the next time life gets tough, remember this: difficulty is not the enemy. It's the training ground. And every challenge you face is another step toward becoming the person you're meant to be. Keep going, keep pushing, and never forget, you are stronger than any difficulty that comes your way. Number 3, understand your emotions. Life has a way of testing us. Sometimes it feels like you're moving forward, and then out of nowhere, a challenge knocks you down. Maybe it's a financial setback. Maybe it's a personal loss. Maybe it's a failure that shakes your confidence. And in those moments, emotions take over. Frustration, anger, fear, sadness. But here's the thing, most people never realize. Your emotions are not the enemy. They are not the problem. The real issue is, when you don't understand them, when you don't know how to manage them, when you let them take control instead of you being the one in charge. If you want to handle difficulty in life, you have to learn how to understand your emotions, not suppress them, not ignore them, not let them dictate your actions, but truly understand them, because emotions have power. If you don't control them, they control you. And that's how most people live. They let their emotions run the show. If something goes wrong, they react. If they feel fear, they freeze. If they feel anger, they lash out. If they feel doubt, they give up. And before they know it, their life is being dictated by emotions instead of decisions. But that's not how you win. That's not how you build strength. If you want to take charge of your life, you have to take charge of your emotions first. Think about the most successful, disciplined, and resilient people you know. Do you think they never feel fear? Do you think they never get angry? Never feel frustrated? Never experience sadness? Of course they do. But the difference is, they don't let those emotions make decisions for them. They feel them, but they don't act on impulse. They recognize what's happening. They understand why they feel the way they do, and they choose their response. That's the level of control you need to develop. Because when you understand your emotions, you stop being reactive. You stop being someone who just lets life push them around. Instead, you become someone who responds with wisdom, with clarity, with strength. So let's break this down. When you're in a difficult situation, and emotions hit you like a wave, The first thing you need to do is recognize what's happening. Don't run from it. Don't pretend it's not there. Stop and say, all right, I feel angry right now. I feel frustrated. I feel scared. Just naming the emotion puts distance between you and it. Because when you name it, you're stepping back. You're no longer drowning in it. You're observing it. And that shift going from feeling the emotion to observing it is powerful. It gives you a moment to pause, to breathe, to take control. Once you recognize the emotion, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Not in a way that leads to self-pity, not in a way that makes you spiral into negativity, but in a way that helps you understand. If you're feeling frustrated, what's really causing it? If you're feeling afraid, what exactly are you afraid of? If you're feeling discouraged, what's the thought behind that feeling? When you dig into the source of the emotion, you start to see it clearly, and clarity gives you control. Now here's the key part. Once you understand your emotion, don't let it drive your actions. This is where most people go wrong. They feel anger, and they lash out. They feel doubt, and they quit. They feel overwhelmed, and they shut down. But emotions are just signals. They are not instructions. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel anger and still respond with wisdom. You can feel sadness and still take action. That's emotional mastery. That's how you take charge of your life. And I'll tell you something important. If you don't master your emotions, someone else will. The world is full of people, companies, and systems designed to manipulate your emotions. Advertisers want to trigger your desires, so you spend more money. News headlines want to trigger your fear, so you keep watching. Social media algorithms want to trigger your insecurities, so you keep scrolling. If you don't learn how to manage your emotions, you will always be controlled by something or someone else. That's why emotional control is not just a skill, it's a necessity. So what does this mean for handling difficulty? It means that no matter what life throws at you, you don't let emotions cloud your judgment. You acknowledge them, you understand them, and then you choose your response. You don't let anger make decisions for you. You don't let fear stop you. You don't let sadness keep you stuck. You take a deep breath, you step back, and you act with intention. Because that's what strong people do. That's what successful people do. That's what you must do. And here's the best part. When you start mastering your emotions, everything in your life improves. Your relationships get better because you don't react impulsively. Your career improves because you make decisions based on logic, not fear. Your personal growth skyrockets because you're no longer a slave to temporary feelings. You start living life on your terms, not on the terms of whatever emotion happens to show up that day. Now I know this takes practice. It's not something you perfect overnight, but that's okay. The goal isn't to never feel emotions. You are human. You will feel them. The goal is to become aware of them, to understand them, and to make sure they don't control your life. And every time you catch yourself about to react emotionally, every time you pause, every time you choose a better response, you're getting stronger. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't break under pressure, who doesn't get easily thrown off track, who stays focused no matter what. So starting today, make it your mission to understand your emotions. When something difficult happens, don't just react. Stop. Observe. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And what is the best response? When you do this, you take back control. You stop letting life push you around. You become the kind of person who stays calm, focused, and in control, no matter what. And that is one of the most powerful skills you can ever develop. Number 4, ask yourself, what's the lesson here? Life will test you. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You will face setbacks. You will encounter obstacles. You will deal with failure, rejection, disappointment. And when those moments come, most people react the same way. They ask, why me? Why is this happening? Why does life have to be so hard? But that's the wrong question. That question keeps you stuck. That question makes you feel like a victim. If you want to turn difficulty into growth, you have to start asking a better question. You have to ask yourself, what's the lesson here? Because every challenge, every failure, every setback carries a lesson. And if you don't find the lesson, you don't grow. If you don't grow, you stay stuck. Think about it. Every person who has ever succeeded at anything didn't get there because life was easy. They got there because they learned from difficulty. They took their failures, their mistakes, their hard times, and instead of feeling sorry for themselves, instead of blaming life, instead of quitting, they asked, what can I learn from this? And that's what set them apart. That's what made them stronger, wiser, better. Now I want you to think about a time in your life when something difficult happened. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you went through a breakup. Maybe you failed at something you really wanted to succeed in. In that moment, it probably felt like the worst thing ever. But looking back, did you learn something? Did that experience shape you? Did it force you to grow in ways you never expected? Maybe losing that job pushed you to start something better. Maybe that heartbreak taught you what you truly deserve. Maybe that failure made you more determined, more disciplined, more focused. The point is, difficulty is a teacher, if you are willing to learn. But here's the catch. Most people don't learn. They go through hard times, but instead of growing, they repeat the same mistakes. They stay in the same toxic relationships. They make the same bad financial decisions. They let the same fears hold them back. Why? Because they never stop to ask, what's the lesson here? They're too focused on the pain, too focused on blaming someone else, too focused on feeling like a victim. But if you want to change your life, you have to break that cycle. You have to make the decision that every difficulty you face will make you stronger, not weaker, smarter, not more defeated, wiser, not more bitter. Now let's be real. When you're in the middle of a tough time, it's not easy to see the lesson. Your emotions are running high. Your mind is overwhelmed. It's hard to think clearly, but that's exactly why you have to train yourself to pause. Take a step back, breathe, and ask, what is this teaching me? Because no matter what you're going through, there is always something to learn. Maybe you need to become more patient. Maybe you need to set better boundaries. Maybe you need to stop procrastinating. Maybe you need to finally believe in yourself and take action. Maybe life is trying to tell you that you're on the wrong path. The lesson is there. You just have to be willing to look for it. And let me tell you, once you start doing this, everything changes. Instead of feeling defeated, you feel empowered. Instead of seeing problems, you see opportunities. Instead of feeling stuck, you start growing. Because now every challenge becomes a stepping stone. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Every failure becomes a lesson that makes you stronger. And that's how you build an unstoppable mindset. That's how you turn difficulty into success. Now some people will hear this and say, but Jim, some problems are too big. Some hardships are too painful. And I hear you. Life can be incredibly hard. But I also know this. Some of the strongest, most successful people in the world have gone through unimaginable pain. And the reason they didn't let it break them is because they found meaning in it. They took their suffering and turned it into strength. They found the lesson and used it to move forward. That's what you must do. So the next time you face something difficult, and don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself. Don't let your emotions take over. Stop, breathe, and ask, what's the lesson here? If you can do that, you'll not only handle difficulty, you'll turn it into fuel. You'll take every challenge and use it to become the best version of yourself. And when you do that, nothing in life can stop you. Number 5, commit to a solution, not the problem. Life is happening right now. And every moment you have a choice. You can stay stuck in the problem, or you can commit to a solution. But here's the truth. Most people spend their energy in the wrong place. They focus on what's wrong. They complain. They blame. They replay the same painful story over and over again in their minds. And what happens? Nothing changes. The problem stays the same, and they stay stuck. But you don't have to live like that. You can shift your focus. You can commit to finding a way forward instead of dwelling on what's behind you, because that's the only way to break free from struggle and step into progress. It all starts with awareness. You have to become aware of where your mind is going. When something difficult happens, where does your focus go? Do you get lost in frustration, anger, or self-pity? Do you spend your time thinking about how unfair life is? Do you allow the problem to consume you? That's the habit you have to break. Because whatever you focus on, you feed. If you focus on the problem, it grows. If you focus on finding a way out, solutions start to appear. Your mind starts working for you instead of against you. That's the shift that changes everything. Think about the last time you faced something difficult. Maybe it was a financial setback. Maybe it was a relationship that didn't work out. Maybe it was a dream that felt like it was slipping through your fingers. In that moment, did you get caught up in frustration? Did you spend hours, days, maybe even weeks feeling bad about it? Did you let it drain your energy? Or did you take control and decide to do something about it? Because that decision makes all the difference. When you commit to a solution, you take your power back. You stop feeling helpless. And you start moving forward. But let's be honest. Committing to a solution isn't always easy. Your mind will try to pull you back into negativity. It will tell you it's too hard. It will tell you there's no way out. It will try to convince you to give up before you even start. And if you listen, you'll stay exactly where you are. That's why you have to override those thoughts. You have to make a decision that no matter what happens, you are not going to let this problem define you. You are going to find a way through it. Now here's the key. When you focus on solutions, you don't have to figure everything out at once. You just need to take the next step. That's it, one step at a time. If you lost your job, start looking for new opportunities. If you made a mistake, learn from it and move forward. If you're dealing with a personal struggle, start by changing your mindset. Every small action builds momentum. Every small action reminds you that you are in control. And once you start moving, everything changes. Because action creates confidence. Confidence creates results. And results create progress. Most people wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel motivated. They wait until they have all the answers. But let me tell you, there is no perfect moment. If you wait, you will wait forever. You have to act now. You have to decide that today is the day you stop feeding the problem and start finding the solution. Because the longer you wait, the more power the problem has over you. Some people will say, but Jim, what if I don't know what to do? What if I feel lost? And I get it. Life can be confusing. It can be overwhelming. But here's what I've learned. Doing something, anything, is better than doing nothing. Because even if you take the wrong step, you're learning, you're gaining experience, you're figuring out what works and what doesn't. And that is how you find your way. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they have to do everything on their own. But the truth is, you don't have to figure it all out alone. There are people who have been where you are and have found a way forward. There are books, mentors, and resources that can help you. The only thing stopping you is your willingness to seek those solutions. So ask for help when you need it. Learn from those who have already walked the path, because success leaves clues. And if you follow them, you can move forward faster. Now let me tell you something powerful. Your future depends on what you decide to do today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, because every day you spend stuck in the problem is a day you could have spent working on the solution. And if you want a different life, you have to start making different choices. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep focusing on the problem? Or are you going to commit to the solution? Are you going to let life push you around? Or are you going to take control and start moving forward? The choice is yours. But remember this, nothing changes until you do. Nothing improves until you decide it will. And the moment you commit to a solution, life starts opening doors you never even knew existed. Number 6, refuse to give up. Persistence is key. When life gets tough, most people think about giving up. They start looking for an easy way out. They wonder if it's even worth the effort. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't meant for me. But here's the truth. Nothing great ever comes easy. If you want something extraordinary, if you want to break through limitations, if you want to build a life that excites you, then you have to be willing to persist when everything inside you is telling you to quit. That's where true strength is built. That's where real success begins. Not when things are easy, but when things get hard and you decide to keep going anyway. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful in life has faced difficulty. Every champion, every leader, every person who built something worthwhile has had moments where they felt like quitting, but they didn't. They pushed through, they endured, and because they did, they came out stronger, wiser, and better on the other side. You have that same power inside you, but you have to refuse to give up. You have to tell yourself, I will keep going, no matter what. The problem is, most people think success is supposed to be smooth. They believe that if they're on the right path, everything should fall into place. And the moment things get tough, they start doubting themselves. They think, Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe this isn't for me. But that's the wrong way to think about it. Difficulty doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It means you're growing. It means you're being tested. It means life is asking you, how bad do you really want it? And that's the question you have to answer. How bad do you really want it? Do you want it bad enough to keep going, even when you're exhausted, even when you're frustrated, even when nothing seems to be working? Because if you do, if you refuse to quit, if you push forward no matter what, then you will win. It might not happen overnight. It might not happen the way you expected. But if you keep going, you will get there. That's a guarantee. The most dangerous thing you can do when facing difficulty is hesitate. The moment you start second-guessing yourself, the moment you start thinking, maybe this isn't worth it, you've already started losing. Because doubt is a slow poison. It creeps in and starts stealing your confidence. It makes you think small. It makes you hesitate when you should be moving forward. That's why you have to cut off doubt before it takes over. You have to decide, right now, that quitting is not an option. That no matter how hard it gets, no matter how tired you feel, you are going to keep going. Think about this. How many times have you seen someone quit when they were so close to breaking through? How many times have you heard a story of someone who almost made it, but gave up right before success came? It happens all the time. People work hard, they put in the effort, but when things get difficult, they walk away, and they never realize how close they were. That's why you can't afford to quit. You never know how close you are to the breakthrough you've been working for. The next opportunity, the next idea, the next action could be the one that changes everything. But you'll never find out if you stop now. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling like it's not working, here's what you do. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself why you started, and then take the next step. Just one more step. That's all it takes to keep going. You don't have to figure out everything at once. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take one more step, and then another, and then another. That's how success is built. That's how you push through difficulty. Most people fail, not because they aren't talented, not because they aren't capable, but because they give up too soon. They don't push through the struggle. They don't stay in the fight long enough to win. But you're not like most people. You have a fire inside you. You have a purpose. You have something worth fighting for. And if you keep going, if you keep pushing, if you refuse to give up, then nothing can stop you. So let me ask you, are you going to be one of those people who walk away when things get tough? Or are you going to be the person who digs deep, who finds that extra strength, who refuses to let difficulty win? Because that's the choice you have to make. And I promise you this, if you choose to persist, if you choose to keep going, when everything inside you is telling you to quit, then one day you will look back and realize that every struggle, every setback, every difficulty was worth it. Because you didn't just survive, you conquered, you overcame, and you became someone stronger, someone wiser, someone unstoppable. Number 7, take responsibility for your reactions. When life throws challenges at you, there's one thing you must always remember. You are in control of your reactions. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond to it. And that response, your attitude, your mindset, your actions, is what determines whether you grow stronger or let the difficulty break you. This is where most people get it wrong. They think the problem is the situation itself, but it's never just the situation. It's how you choose to handle it. Think about this. 2 people can face the exact same problem, but one will break down, complain, and give up, while the other will rise up, adapt, and push forward. The difference isn't the problem. The difference is the person. The difference is the way they think, the way they react, the way they decide to face the challenge, instead of letting the challenge defeat them. That's what separates people who win in life from those who stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not some secret advantage. It's their ability to take full responsibility for their reactions. Taking responsibility means refusing to blame anyone or anything for your struggles. It means looking in the mirror and saying, I decide how this story ends, not my circumstances, not my past, not what someone else did or didn't do. Me. And when you make that decision, everything changes. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone else to fix things, the moment you stop making excuses, You take back your power. You stop being a victim, and you start being the person who does something about it. But let's be honest, taking responsibility isn't always easy. It's much easier to blame your problems on something outside of you. It's easier to say, I can't succeed because of my past. Or I would be doing better if people helped me more. Or if things were different, I wouldn't be struggling. But here's the truth. Life is never going to hand you the perfect conditions. If you wait for everything to be easy before you take action, you'll be waiting forever. Success doesn't come from waiting for the right circumstances. It comes from making the best out of the circumstances you have right now. If you're going through something difficult, the first step is to stop focusing on what you can't control and start focusing on what you can control. You might not be able to change the past, but you can change your next move. You might not be able to control other people's actions, but you can control your own. You might not be able to stop challenges from coming, but you can decide how you're going to face them. And that's all that matters. Because when you focus on what's in your power, you take back control over your life. Now, some people hear this and think, but Jim, you don't understand my situation. It's different. No, it's not. Everyone has challenges. Everyone faces setbacks. Everyone has moments when they feel like giving up. But the people who rise above don't rise because life was easy for them. They rise because they made a choice. They chose to take responsibility for their reactions. They chose to take action when things got tough. They chose to keep moving forward, no matter what. You have to do the same when something difficult happens. You have to ask yourself, what can I do right now to make this better? Not why is this happening to me? Not who's to blame? Not what's the easiest way out? But what can I do about it? That's the mindset that changes lives. Because when you take ownership of your reactions, when you decide that no matter what happens, you are still in control, you stop waiting for things to change and start being the person who changes things. You see, every challenge is an opportunity. Every struggle is a chance to grow stronger. But you'll never see that if you're too busy complaining. Complaining doesn't fix problems. Blaming doesn't fix problems. Wishing things were different doesn't fix problems. Action does. And the moment you stop making excuses and start focusing on what you can do, you start moving forward. Now let me tell you something important. Just because you take responsibility for your reactions doesn't mean things will be easy. It doesn't mean you won't feel frustrated, tired, or discouraged at times. That's normal. But what it does mean is that you won't let those feelings control you. You won't let them dictate your actions. You'll feel the frustration, but you'll still push forward. You'll feel tired, but you'll still show up. You'll feel discouraged, but you won't let it stop you. That's what separates the winners from the quitters. It's not that winners don't struggle, it's that they don't stop when they do. So what does this mean for you? It means that starting today, you have to make a decision. Are you going to be the kind of person who reacts to difficulty with excuses and complaints? Or are you going to be the kind of person who takes responsibility and does something about it? Because that choice will determine your future. That choice will shape who you become. That choice will decide whether you stay stuck or break through to something greater. You have the power to change your life. You have the power to rise above challenges. You have the power to turn struggles into strength. But only if you decide to take responsibility. Only if you stop making excuses. Only if you take control of your reactions and start taking action. No one is going to do it for you. No one is going to hand you success. No one is going to make life easier just because you're struggling. But that's a good thing, because it means you don't have to wait for anything or anyone. You can start right now. You can take control right now. You can begin moving forward right now. So what's it going to be? Are you going to let difficulty control you? Or are you going to take responsibility for your reactions and do something about it? The choice is yours. But remember this, your future is being shaped by the decisions you make today. Make the decision that moves you forward. Make the decision that puts you in control. And no matter how hard it gets, keep going. Because if you refuse to quit, if you refuse to let difficulty win, then nothing, absolutely nothing can stop you. Number 8. Build a mental and physical routine to prepare for challenges. Success doesn't happen by accident. Strength doesn't appear out of nowhere. Resilience isn't something you wake up with one day. These things are built, shaped, and created over time. And if you want to handle difficulty in life, you have to prepare for it. You can't just hope that when tough times come, you'll magically find the strength to push through. You have to build that strength before the difficulty arrives. You have to train your mind, your body, and your habits so that when challenges appear, you don't crumble, you rise. Think about it. You wouldn't wait until the middle of a storm to start building a shelter. You wouldn't wait until you're drowning to learn how to swim. But that's exactly what most people do when it comes to life's challenges. They wait until they're overwhelmed, stressed, or exhausted before they try to figure out how to handle it. And by then, it's too late. They're not prepared. They don't have the mental strength, the habits, or the discipline to push through. But you don't have to be like most people. You can train yourself to be stronger. You can develop a mindset that doesn't break under pressure. You can create routines that keep you focused, energized, and ready for whatever comes your way. And when you do that, you won't just handle difficulties, you'll thrive in them. You'll use them as fuel. You'll turn them into stepping stones instead of roadblocks. The first thing you have to do is train your mind. Every single day you have to take control of your thoughts, because your thoughts shape your reality. If you wake up every morning thinking about how hard life is, how unfair things are, or how impossible your dreams seem, then that's exactly what your life will reflect. But if you wake up and tell yourself, no matter what happens today, I will face it. I will learn from it. I will grow through it. Then you start creating a different reality. You start building mental toughness, and that mental toughness is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you discipline your mind to stay positive, every time you refuse to give in to negativity, you are making yourself stronger. And that strength will be there for you when you need it the most. But mental strength alone isn't enough. You have to train your body too. You have to build routines that keep you energized, that keep you moving, that keep you disciplined. Because here's the truth. Your mind and body are connected. If your body is weak, your mind will be weaker. If you're constantly exhausted, unhealthy, or undisciplined in your daily habits, then when difficulty shows up, you won't have the energy or the willpower to fight back. That's why you have to take care of yourself. You have to move your body, train it, strengthen it, not just for the sake of fitness, but because physical strength builds mental strength. When you push yourself physically, whether it's through exercise, discipline, or daily movement, you are teaching yourself that you can handle discomfort. You are teaching yourself that pain doesn't break you, it makes you stronger. And that lesson carries over into every part of your life. And then you have to train your habits, because when things get tough, you don't rise to the level of your motivation, you fall to the level of your habits. If you don't have strong habits in place, when difficulty comes, you'll collapse. But if you've built a routine that keeps you focused, disciplined, and moving forward, then even when life gets hard, you'll keep going. So what does that look like? It means starting your day with purpose instead of distraction. It means creating a morning routine that sets the tone for success. It means prioritizing your time so that you're not constantly reacting to life, but instead taking control of it. It means training yourself to do the hard things even when you don't feel like it, because that's where real strength is built. Most people let their emotions control them. They only take action when they feel like it. They only push forward when they're motivated. But the strongest people in the world, the people who handle difficulty with power and confidence, are the ones who have trained themselves to take action, no matter what. They've built habits that keep them moving, even when motivation fades. They don't rely on feelings, they rely on discipline, and that's what you need to do. Because life is unpredictable. You don't know when the next challenge will hit. You don't know when life will throw something unexpected your way. But if you've trained yourself, if you've built routines that keep you strong, if you've conditioned your mind and body to handle difficulty, then no matter what happens, you'll be ready. You won't panic. You won't break down. You'll stand firm and say, I've prepared for this. I can handle this. It's not about avoiding difficulties. It's about being so strong, so prepared, so disciplined, that when they come, they don't shake you, they don't break you, they don't stop you. Instead, they challenge you to rise even higher. And when you live that way, when you train yourself daily, when you strengthen your mind, your body, and your habits, there is nothing life can throw at you that you can't handle. So don't wait until things get hard to start building strength. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to start creating discipline. Start now. Train yourself now. Because the stronger you become today, the easier it will be to face whatever comes tomorrow. Number 9, leverage your support system. There will be days when life feels heavy. There will be moments when you think you can't do it alone. No one gets through life without challenges, setbacks, or struggles. But here's something powerful. You don't have to do it all by yourself. You are not meant to carry the weight of life alone. There is strength in leaning on the right people, in surrounding yourself with those who lift you up, and in knowing that you don't have to walk this journey without support. Most people don't realize this. They believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness. They think that if they admit they need someone, it means they aren't strong enough. But that's not true. The strongest people in the world, the ones who push through the toughest storms, the ones who rise when others would stay down, know that strength isn't about doing it all alone. Strength is about knowing when to reach out, when to seek guidance, and when to let others help you become stronger. The problem is, too many people isolate themselves in their struggles. They keep everything inside. They pretend they're fine when they're not. They push away the very people who could help them because they don't want to seem weak. But that isolation only makes things harder. It makes problems feel bigger than they really are. It turns small struggles into overwhelming burdens. It makes you believe that you're alone when you're not. If you want to handle difficulty in life, you have to recognize the power of the people around you. You have to surround yourself with the right energy, the right influence, the right voices. Because the truth is, the people in your life will either lift you higher or pull you down. They will either encourage you to keep going or drain the life out of you. And if you're not careful about who you let into your world, you might be surrounding yourself with people who are making your struggles even harder. Look around at the people in your life. Are they pushing you forward or holding you back? Are they encouraging you to grow, to improve, to become stronger? Or are they filling your mind with doubt, negativity, and excuses? If you want to handle difficulty in life, you need to be intentional about the company you keep. Because energy is contagious. Attitudes are contagious. If you spend your time around people who complain, who blame, who focus on everything that's wrong, then you will start thinking the same way. But if you surround yourself with people who see solutions instead of problems, who focus on growth instead of excuses, who believe in possibilities instead of limitations, then your entire perspective will shift. And this isn't just about friends and family. It's about everything you allow into your mind. What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you feeding your mind every single day? If you're constantly absorbing negativity, fear, and doubt, then it will shape the way you see the world. But if you choose to feed your mind with inspiration, wisdom, and motivation, then you will start to see opportunities where others see obstacles. This is why having a strong support system is so important. Not just people who listen to you, but people who challenge you. People who won't let you settle for less than your best. People who remind you of your strength when you forget it yourself. Because there will be moments when doubt creeps in. There will be times when you feel lost, when you feel like giving up, when you don't know what to do next. And in those moments, having the right voices in your life can make all the difference. You need people who hold you accountable, people who remind you of your goals, people who won't let you slip into bad habits or destructive patterns. Because let's be honest, when things get tough, it's easy to fall back into old ways. It's easy to choose comfort over progress. It's easy to justify procrastination, excuses, and mediocrity. But the right support system won't let you do that. They will push you. They will challenge you. They will remind you why you started in the first place. And sometimes the support you need won't come from the people you expect. Sometimes the ones closest to you won't understand your journey. They won't see your vision. They won't believe in your dreams. That's why you have to seek out the right people, mentors, coaches, role models, individuals who have walked the path you want to walk. People who have overcome challenges, who have turned struggles into success, who have proven that difficulty is not the end. It's the beginning of something greater. And don't just wait for the right people to show up in your life. Go find them. Read their books, listen to their words, study their mindset, learn from them. Because even if you don't have the right people physically around you right now, You can still build a support system through the knowledge and wisdom of those who have already succeeded. But remember this, having a strong support system is not just about what you receive, it's about what you give. If you want strong, supportive, uplifting people in your life, then you have to be that person too. Be the one who encourages others. Be the one who lifts people up. Be the one who brings positive energy, who listens, who pushes others to be better. Because when you are that person, you will naturally attract others who are the same. Life is too difficult to go through alone. You need people who will walk beside you, who will remind you of your strength, who will help you rise when you feel like falling. Don't be afraid to lean on them. Don't be afraid to ask for help, to seek guidance, to surround yourself with those who make you better. Because the truth is, success, happiness, and resilience are not built in isolation. They are built through connection, through community, through the strength of the people you choose to walk this journey with. So if you're struggling, if life feels overwhelming, if you feel like you're carrying too much, don't do it alone. Look around, find the right people, seek out the wisdom, the encouragement, the accountability that will help you grow. Because when you have the right support system, there is no challenge too big, no obstacle too high, no difficulty you cannot overcome. Number 10, keep moving forward. No matter what, when you realize that no one is coming to save you, no one is going to suddenly appear and make everything right. No one is going to do the work for you, hand you success, or magically change your circumstances. And in that moment, you have two choices. You either sit there waiting, hoping, wishing that things will get better on their own, or you take full responsibility for your life. Grab the wheel with both hands and decide that no matter what, you will make it happen. Because the truth is, your future is 100% in your hands. And until you accept that, nothing will change. Most people waste years of their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions to take action. They tell themselves, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll go after my dreams when I have more time, when I have more money, when the circumstances are just right. But that moment never comes. Days turn into months, months turn into years. And before they know it, they're looking back at a life full of regrets, full of what-ifs, full of dreams that never became reality, simply because they were waiting for something outside of themselves to change. But the truth is, change doesn't happen by waiting. It happens by deciding. It happens the moment you say, enough is enough. I refuse to stay where I am. I refuse to let fear, doubt, or excuses control my life. I refuse to keep waiting for something outside of me to change, when I have the power to change it myself. Everything in your life, your success, your happiness, your future, is a direct result of the choices you make every single day. Every decision you make is either moving you closer to your goals or further away from them. And the most dangerous thing you can do is convince yourself that you have time, because time is not guaranteed. You don't know how much of it you have left. Every second you waste is a second you'll never get back. Every opportunity you let slip away is one you might never see again. That's why you have to act now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, the difference between people who succeed and people who don't is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the ability to take action, despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite discomfort. The people who make things happen are not the ones who sit around waiting for motivation to strike. They are the ones who get up and do the work, even when they don't feel like it. They are the ones who show up every single day, no matter what. They are the ones who take responsibility for their lives, who refuse to make excuses, who refuse to settle. And the reality is, success is not about making huge, dramatic changes overnight. It's about small, consistent actions repeated over time. It's about building habits that move you forward. It's about doing the little things that most people overlook. The early mornings, the extra effort, the discipline to keep going when things get hard. Because success is not a one-time event. It's not something that just happens. It's something you create, step by step, choice by choice, action by action. But here's the thing, most people never even start. They let fear stop them before they even try. They let doubt convince them they're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. They let the opinions of others hold them back. But the people who win in life are the ones who push past all of that. They are the ones who understand that fear is normal, that doubt is just a part of the process, that failure is not the end, but a stepping stone to success. You have to realize that everything you want is on the other side of action. No amount of thinking, planning, or hoping will get you there. You have to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. You have to be willing to do the work, to face the challenges, to push through the resistance, because no one is going to do it for you. And yes, it will be hard. Yes, there will be obstacles. Yes, there will be days when you feel like giving up. But those are the moments that separate the winners from the quitters. Those are the moments when you have to dig deep, when you have to remind yourself why you started, when you have to keep going even when every part of you wants to stop. Because that's where growth happens. That's where strength is built. That's where success is born. So stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Stop telling yourself that you'll start someday. Someday is not a day on the calendar. Someday doesn't exist. The only time you have is now. And what you do with this moment will determine the rest of your life. You are capable of more than you realize. You have everything you need to succeed already inside of you. But you have to make the decision to act. You have to take control. You have to stop waiting for permission, for validation, for the perfect moment. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the action you haven't taken yet. So get up, get moving, do the work, and make it happen.